Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all today. Let's just get started. So, welcome to our first session of a Career Talk series. This initiative was specially designed or aimed at helping our students in the artificial intelligence and machine learning program so that they can have successful careers in this exciting and fast growing field. So, through this series, what we are trying to do is make sure that students have the opportunity to learn directly from experienced professionals and gain valuable insights so they can prepare for their future and be job ready for the AI ML job market. So our mission with this initiative is to make sure our students are equipped with industry knowledge, insight, and with all the inspiration that they need to be ready for the job in the field of AI and ML. So thank you all students for joining in today. I hope this session inspires you to aim high, enhance your skills, and take the next step towards achieving your career goals. So let's get started. But before that, let me just say a few words about our speaker today. This is going to be special because this is our first inaugural session, and thank you so much, Mr. Selva, to be here with us today. So, with over 20 years of experience in technology and leadership, he has worked with some of the world's largest companies, helping them solve problems through AI, machine learning, and cloud solutions. We are super honored to have you, Mr. Selva Jagannathan, with us today. He's a delivery executive at Google Cloud. And at Google Cloud, he has led major projects that demonstrate the power and potential in AI. And some projects which I should mention that he has worked on is he's developed an app called Eloquence. If I'm saying it, please forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. It's an AI powered app hosted on Google Cloud, which helps the non native English speakers to improve their language skills through speech to text and text to speech technologies. I know we have discussed this in class, so he has this practical experience on it now. So he has also led a successful proof of concept for speech to text solutions using Google Vertex AI services. We would like to know more about it. And he's currently working on a number of projects that I should mention, which is automating programming management workflows using Gen AI, saving up to 3 hours per week per program manager, which is huge. And he's also developing a help desk chatbot to address business queries related to key metrics for Google Cloud teams. And right now, he's also contributing to a language model training by creating and reviewing data for language used by 80 million people. These are just key projects that I wanted to mention about the AI, which in addition to this, he's also been working on other projects. So, with this extensive experience and impactful work, Mr. Selva is here to share his valuable insights and inspire us all, including me. And we are super, super excited to have you, Mr. Selva. It's all yours, and we would like to hear from you. And since I just wanted to tell you that he will be giving us an introduction and a little talk. And then after that, we will have a time for question and answers. You can come up with your own questions and that you have for him. And if you have something in between, please feel free to put it on the chat. I will be looking at the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat window. So in case you would like to post the questions on the chat, we will take it after his talk. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Selva.
Thank you, Magdalene. And thank you all for having me here. I'm so excited to be here talking to you. I have a bunch of slides I would like to share. So let me start with that. Let me get that up here and then we'll get started. Yeah, so this being a career talk, I thought we'll approach this in three segments. Firstly, I thought I should first share what my career has been like, what my journey has been like. So we'll do a quick overview of that. And then I'll share some industry insights that fascinated me recently. I work in a lot of enterprise business space. I'd like to share those industry insights as a conversation starter, potentially to even dive deeper into some of relevant conversations, relevant questions you might have. And then thirdly, we'll follow it up with a connected open topic about the future of generative AI that should take us to the Q&A session. I intend not to go more than 15 minutes with my slides, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. We spend more time on. And again, I'm Selva Jagannathan, and I live in Dallas, Texas, in USA, with my wife and two sons, 6 years and 3 years old. I currently work at Google Cloud as a delivery executive. If I have to summarize my role in one sentence, I make the adoption of Google Cloud seamless to my customers, which are global enterprises, Fortune 500 companies, and like whatnot. Right? And I work with customers to identify where they want to be from a technology perspective, whether it's on data, AI, or infrastructure. And I ensure that they have the right shared objectives, common objectives, and ensure that they move to the Google Cloud platform without any major hiccups. Now, while I'm at Google Cloud right now, my journey has not been straightforward. After I graduated from my undergrad with computer science degree, I started my career with Infosys, part of their Pinnacle core banking solution product. I was there with them for about 10 years as a data migration engineer. And that job literally exposed me to the world. I had an opportunity to work in Middle East, Africa, Latin America, USA, across the world, just getting to know different cultures, different levels of technology maturity, etc. And after 10 years, I thought I should get a business degree, and I quit my job and I did my MBA from Wisconsin School of Business, Madison, Wisconsin, not too far from you in Toronto. And after I graduated, I took up an offer from Deloitte Consulting as part of their strategy and analytics practice as a strategy consultant. And there I used to think about and solve customers' biggest technology strategy problems. Uh, how could they improve their business processes? How could they improve their IT processes? What are some of the technology transformation projects they need to be thinking about in next 3 years, 5 years down the line? So that kind of problems is where I used to spend a lot of time thinking about Deloitte. While I was at Deloitte, I also got some opportunity time to get a master's degree in machine learning from Harrisburg University in Pennsylvania. And after my career at Deloitte, I joined Google as part of Google Cloud. And here I work with financial services customers. I specialize in, I'm a certified data engineer, professional data engineer, but although technology is not my day to day job, like as in I don't do programming on a daily basis, but I manage technology teams. And I'm also a Google certified Vertex AI specialist. All that means is I'm good at naming and using Google Cloud's AI services. So that's who I am, what my career is. If there are no more questions, I will move on to the next segment. Now, I mentioned about some of the latest technology trends that fascinated me, and I thought I'll share it here. And from that standpoint, I think we all can agree technology is evolving at an unprecedented pace, particularly after the coming of age of generative AI. And the evolution is driven by six macro forces that are shaping our future. And there are two kinds of forces if we categorize those six forces, I would say. And that you can categorize them into elevating forces and grounding forces. And that's how the article that I read, which comes from Deloitte's Technology Trends 2024, points out. And elevating forces are those forces that keeps the industries and businesses motivated in innovating further and further. But innovations like that tend to fall flat pretty quickly if they are not done right. And that is where the grounding forces come in, which strengthen the foundations of the innovation. In next couple of slides, we will explore these forces and their impact on on businesses that are around us. Firstly, we have three elevating forces which drive innovation, as I mentioned before. The first one is based on interactions. As you're seeing, like the interactions we have with each other, with other businesses, other enterprises, and even technology is changing at a rapid speed. Thanks to spatial computing, thanks to metaverse, how we interact as human beings is changing. But how businesses think about this is that it leads to a lot more safer and more efficient processes. Think about call center AI, right? The, Gone are the days like when you call to a bank's call center and then like it's purely a person talking, right? That's an efficient process. So that's how businesses are investing more and more in improving that kind of experiences so that they can wow their customers. Think about products like Meta Quest VR headset or Apple Vision, AI glasses, etc. And enterprises want to be in these spaces to take advantage of these technologies. The second force is information. Generative AI's ability to mimic human cognition is a potential growth catalyst for businesses. I think we all can agree. And it unlocks a lot of opportunities in terms of productivity, insights, and innovation. For example, chatbots like Gemini and ChatGPT make life so much easier. And personally, I use a lot of Google Workspace, and Gemini on Workspace and Gmail and Docs has just changed the way I used to work, even like since last 6 months, I would say. And I'm sure you're also seeing that at your work or at your university as well. The third one is computation. The increasing demand for computational resources is driving businesses to seek new ways of optimizing the resources or optimizing performance, etc. Right? They're all looking for specialized hardware like GPUs and TPUs. Compute is a scarce resource in today's world, and everybody wants a portion of whatever is available. And In case you haven't been following NVIDIA's growth as a company, that's the reality, right? Everyone wants their hands on AI chips to innovate their businesses and wow their customers. But alongside these three elevating forces, we also have three grounding forces, which I mentioned before, that we need to be mindful of, right? Um, and the first one of that is business of technology. As businesses continue to pursue innovation, they should prioritize developer experience to attract and retain top tech talent, which should lead to improved product performance, and customer satisfaction, right? This means enterprises need to rethink how they use developer tools, whether it is GitHub Copilot or Gemini Cody, etc. And how do they make developers more and more efficient? This is something the enterprises are always thinking about. And enterprises need to also look at what the growth areas are and prioritize where they are hiring. There might be a big business which generates huge revenues, but there might be a small window of opportunity where they could invest and grow much more faster and maintain their advantage in the marketplace. So they need to think about all those things like building the capabilities within their human resource capabilities within their organizations. And the second one of the grounding force is the core modernization. Traditionally, companies have looked at modernizing infrastructure as a secondary thought. But today, the companies are required to shift from a reactive approach to technical debt to a proactive technical wellness so that they can be more strategic about modernization and kind of avoid any sort of future issues. And because having a huge technical debt will hinder innovation and productivity, and it will restrict everybody's agility, the entire company's agility, right? So that reduces their ability to innovate. And finally, last but not the least, to be honest, addressing the growing threat of synthetic media, which is primarily driven by generative AI, is very important. Companies need to prioritize cybersecurity. They need to implement risk mitigation policies, educate their employees on potential threats and stuff like that. For example, as Gen AI evolves more and more, we are going to see more sophisticated phishing attacks, uh, more sophisticated prompt injection attacks that can have massive impacts on large scale search engines and chatbots that could have influence over billions of people. Or it could lead to misinformation, which can further lead to large scale problems in the society. So enterprises need to really create that awareness, build strong cybersecurity partnerships, and more importantly, deal this AI threat with AI, right? So they need to invest in that space as well. So those are the six different forces that drive innovation. To summarize, there are three that are elevating forces, but three that kind of like grounds these elevating forces and make them solidify the innovation. Now, finally, on thoughts about future of Gen AI, if you think about all these six forces, all of these are connected by one common thread, which is generative AI in the recent times. And there is a lot of speculation as to how generative AI will play out in the future. Some people say it could be a force multiplier, not a replacement for human workers. One of the best quotes I remember from Jensen Huang, who's the founder and CEO of NVIDIA, is that it's not AI that's going to steal your job, but it is a person who knows how to use AI that's going to steal your job. So, which was I found it very interesting. But there are also, again, there are other sets of people like Sam Altman who keep saying that AGI is here, like it's about just a week away. But that's all, in my opinion, it's all a speculation. I don't think, I'm not sure how generative AI is going to play out in the future. But what is definitely certain is, to me, is that Gen AI will power creativity and innovation in the near future. And it is going to revolutionize industries and business functions. It means 3 years to 5 years down the line, generative AI is going to be a standard. I don't think there is going to be, like today when I was dialing into Zoom, it showed there was a window that there was an alert that showed that generative AI features are there and it might be disabled or something to that effect, or be aware of those features or something to that effect. I think 5 years down the line, there's not going to be any distinction at all. Generative AI will be everywhere and it's going to be the norm. And what we can do today is leverage and embrace the power of generative AI and create new products, make great experiences to people. While we can, especially engineers like yourself, you can address the challenges and ethical implications of generative AI. If it means to improve data quality, if it means to improving cybersecurity, if it means to making workforce experiences better and customer experiences better, that is what I guess we can focus on today. So that's just my personal take. I'll leave my thoughts with that question. I would love to, I'm not just here to share my opinion, but I'm also here to hear your opinion and learn from you all. So I'd love to hear what you all think about the future of Gen AI. That could be a leading question, or if there are any other questions, I'm happy to address.
Thank you so much, Mr. Selva, for that, for the talk on giving us few insights on the elevating forces and the grounding forces, which was nice, where you tried to segregate it with the elevating forces and the grounding forces, and also giving us an insight about the future of Gen AI. I know you worked more into Gen AI compared to the other AI fields that there are right now. So let me get started with the question and answer session that we will continue with. So there somebody said, thank you. If you do have any questions, so here we have our first question. But if before that, if somebody wants to unmute yourself and ask a question, feel free to do. If there isn't anybody who wants to unmute yourself and ask, feel free to post the question on the chat box. First, I'll just see if anybody wants to ask a question.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, of course, Dinakara. Hi,
Yeah,
how are you?
I'm
Good to see
doing
you.
good. Yeah, thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Hello, Selva sir.
Hi, Dinakar.
Hi, my name is Kaushik sir. I'm going to be a prospective student of HEC Montreal for the upcoming term in January 2025 for masters in data science and business analytics. So I was really passionate to get into data science into this field of data science, AI and machine learning. So my only concern is I'm planning to further do some internships, and if everything clicks well, my ultimate goal is to enter into the entry level role of data science, that is junior data scientist, or firstly an internship. What concepts do we need to strengthen on, or what will be the expectation of the recruiter when we are applying for the internships in AI?
Yeah. Yeah. So in all honesty, I've not been an intern in AI
Okay.
space. But having said that, I have at least a couple of students that actually work with me that like through personal relationships that have been working with me on finding internships and stuff. Um,
Okay.
but I think it really comes down to, especially on these FANG companies, referral is definitely an important thing. Or that one thing that you should keep in mind. Connect on LinkedIn, make connections, people that know you even a little bit and can vouch for you. So that's definitely you should think about. In
Yes.
terms of projects and stuff, I would say just try to work on Kaggle data,
Yeah,
do
good.
some projects and stuff, and
Projects.
and
Yes.
quantify your results so that
Yeah.
and also learn to highlight what you have done for those
Mm.
that should take care. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for answering this question, sir. And you are also talking about Gemini AI GitHub Copilot, right? Can you give some more information like how do organizations use these tools and all?
Yeah. Let's say there is a large bank, okay, and they
Yeah.
have a technology team and there are developers sitting in different business functions. Typically, the way the enterprises are organized is that there are business units and there are
Mm.
technology teams that application developers that support those teams. And then there is a
Mm.
central technology team that provides the
Mm.
technology services, right?
Mm.
The developers use the tools that are provided and approved by the centralized technology team. Now,
Okay.
those tools could be anything. It could just be it could be from a notepad to any other more sophisticated Visual Studio tool. Now,
Mm.
how do I enhance those tools to automatically predict the next code? Or I don't know. A good example I would say is, for example, in Google Cloud. I'm
Mm.
going to use a lot of Google Cloud. I'm not selling Google Cloud here, but that's the experience I have. So I'm going to share that. If you go to BigQuery, I don't know if you heard of BigQuery. You're from data scientist, you probably will be using it. Um, if you go to BigQuery, you could actually type up natural language saying
Mm.
what is the information you want to retrieve, and it
Mm.
automatically writes the code or writes the select query that you want.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You don't actually need to know the syntax. You don't need to be a SQL developer to actually explore or build tools that you need in using BigQuery. So that's
Okay.
one side of things, right? Another
Yeah.
side of things is that as you start typing code, develop applications, or you're maintaining some application, you're making an enhancement to your internal application. What if the generative AI is trained on all your modules and packages that you have built just for your in-house applications? And it
Mm.
can automatically just recommend what the next line of code could, right?
Ah, okay.
So those are the areas that
This GitHub
companies,
Copilot, is it?
yeah, very much like GitHub Copilot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank
And
you. Thank you, sir. Mm.
sure, yeah.
Continue.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. And I see there is one question on chat. Why do we have to pay for AI tools when the data used to train these models are free? I also wanted to know how AI is being applied in cloud technologies. Okay. Let me answer the first question. Okay. Why do we have to pay for AI tools when the data used to train these models are free? Yeah, there is free portion and then there is like super expensive portion in this. You called it out. You said train these models. So training is a process, and training takes months and months to actually do that, and that requires compute resources, requires network storage, and then even after you develop a model, it takes a lot of compute resources to serve that model, right? If you're chatting with ChatGPT, it does use some compute resources in order to generate the response that you need, right? So I think there is a valid reason why it should be paid. I know book follows a different approach. They have given all their meta AI for free, but we know they do use their llama models to make money through enterprises. But different people have different business models, but I don't see that maybe in the future, all the AI tools could become free, but I don't see that in the near term, mainly considering how difficult it is to get the compute resources. Right. That was one of the elevating forces we talked about. And the second part of the question, I also wanted to know how AI is being applied in cloud technologies. So I'm reading this question in two ways. How is cloud leveraged to take AI to the end users? That's one way of looking at it. Or are you saying that how is AI applied to make the cloud platforms better? I don't know what the question is, but for the second one, yeah, if all AI tools are any tool that you can imagine today is being enhanced with AI. Yeah. Interacting with the cloud platform is not exactly the same as it was 1 year ago. A good example was BigQuery I was talking about, right? BigQuery is a cloud technology. Earlier, people needed to know how to write query. Now you don't need to. You just need to use natural language. The first understanding of that question, how does cloud technology serve the AI? That's exactly what OpenAI did, right? They came up with all their models. They had ChatGPT, but they were not making any money. They had to team up with Microsoft to expose their APIs on Microsoft Azure. So enterprises will pay for their APIs, right? That's pretty much how OpenAI makes most of their money. Likewise, Google uses Gemini in the same way. Facebook, Meta hosts their Llama models on AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure to make money out of their models. I don't know if I answered that question, but went a bit long.
Well, thank you so much, Selva. Before you move on to the next one in the chat box, there was Usman Reza. You had raised your hand. Are you ready with your question? If you are, you can unmute
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Am I
Go ahead.
audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my question was actually regarding the job market, and given the brutal competitive nature of the job market and how it has taken a nosedive in this year, do you see any prospect of recovery in the coming year?
Your question is, do you see any recovery in the AI job market? Is that what you're saying?
In the AI and the tech job market as well.
Hard to predict, but if it is up to me, I will just stay positive and definitely things will get better. Particularly with AI, to be honest, I feel like all the recession and everything was averted because of the evolution of AI and the amount of investments all these big tech companies made in order to build up their infrastructure, and it naturally flows to the whole supply chain. And it has definitely averted the fears of recession in some way. This is just my opinion, right? But it's really hard to predict. It's really hard to predict what is going to happen. But I do think AI in itself has given a great opportunity for a lot of people to just jump in and contribute.
Just
Thank you.
to add on to that, Usman, I heard from another person who was an industry professional. Just wanted to add that the job market for the other fields, they said they've stopped hiring, but they still have the AI and ML job openings that they still keep hiring. From what I heard, I guess AI ML is slightly better than the other fields, but again, it's just hard to predict at the current job market. But I just wanted to add that point. Thank you so much, Mr. Selva, for that. So the next question I will read out for you. But Nanda, you have these long list of questions. Good one, Nanda. But I'll go over that one by one. So from Garvit, I wanted to hear your thoughts on future of coding with advancements in AI. So how do you look at the future of coding, especially with all these additional tools that are available, like you just mentioned about the GitHub Code Copilot, right, which helps us to do the coding. What is your take on that?
Yeah, my take is it's definitely going to make developers more productive. There are two scenarios you could think of: doomsday scenario versus positive scenario. I think of it as it's going to give a lot of time back to the developers. And developers are not just going to be programmers. I feel like there's going to be a blend of product manager and developer. It's almost like there's going to be less and less separation between a product manager and a developer. And good um, good understanding of AI is going to make anyone successful, whether they are developer or a product manager. That's what I think.
Thank you, Selva. Before we go to the long list of questions,
I'm not able to hear you.
can you hear me?
Is everyone else able to hear?
Can anybody else hear me? Okay, they are able to.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. You're also active in the session, which is nice. So before I move on to the next long list of questions that Nanda has posted, no offense, and I'm just pulling a leg. But before we move on to that, is there anybody else who wants to go with a question? I see Paige has raised her hand. Paige, do you want to go ahead? Yeah. I see Jacob and Paige. Paige first, and then we will go over one question of Nanda and then back to Jacob. Is that okay?
Yeah, thanks. Selva, you mentioned that you had your MBA, I think, and then you got your master's in ML while you're at Deloitte. I was just wondering if there's something particular that kind of pushed you to make that career transition.
Yeah, that's a great question. So this was about like 10 years ago, and it was the AI just getting started in some ways, to me at least. I think AI has been around like 50, 60 years, but to me, it was more like becoming more and more prominent at my workplace and started seeing. I was at Deloitte at that time, and I was also getting engaged in some AI related projects. And I thought, let me get to know AI a little bit more formally. That's the motivation for me to get a degree.
Awesome. Thanks. And was there any reason, because I am assuming that you came from a more software math background, if you're jumping right into machine learning, that you wanted to pursue your MBA?
The reason I wanted to pursue MBA was that I was in my first job for 10 years, and I felt like I was getting pigeonholed into, and remember, I was in a product setting as well. So I was becoming a very good, really good specialist in the product, but I wasn't. I felt I needed to diversify and go see the outside world, and I approached an MBA as a window of opportunity for that, and that's why I left my job, took a 2-year break, and did that.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. So now I have Nanda's question, and then we'll go with Jacob, and then Burl is in the queue. So Nanda's question, I just saw there were list of questions, but they're all related, which I understood when I read it. So it's his question is he's trying to understand if there are some AI tools or AI impacted techniques that can be used by local business, like local business. By saying local business, he means local restaurants, clinics, and any other small local businesses which can leverage this AI tool or AI application that are available. I know you're going to say something which is related to Google Cloud, which we would love to hear about it. But if you know some tactics like that, which the businesses can leverage, if please elaborate on that process. And he would like to know what tools can help the businesses grow and your ideas on that.
So, not getting into the type of business, but if we're talking about local business, there are two aspects of it. One is reaching out to the customers, and especially if it is a local business, it's all about how do I know my customers better? How do I cater to them? How do I reach out to them? And then the second part of that is you cannot grow your business if you are not operationally efficient, right? So I approach it from a revenue model, cost model. To me, there are readily available tools in the market that continuously gets enhanced with AI tools. I imagine if you are a local business, you are using Google search. and you have ads on Google search getting listed. So AI to AI is actually already enhancing those tools without us even knowing it. And we don't even pay for it. Or maybe we pay indirectly, but the tools are actually getting enhanced and they are getting better and better at understanding your customer, reaching out to your customer, the right customer, all that. But if you ask me some tools that you could use, I think you can do better branding, better marketing, better. Again, I'm thinking again from generative AI point of view, but you could of course use other uh, gathering customer data and of course run models and understand your customer more. But I'm talking about readily available tools that are there on Google Cloud Platform or something to that effect. Having a chatbot on your website so that you respond quickly, have a better understanding of your inventory and cater to your customers. Yeah, that's one side of it. And then having better prediction as to your inventory, your supply chain, controlling the costs. So that's the other side of things, right? There are lots of tools that are available if you approach it through Google Cloud as an example. But again, it depends on the business, what type of business we are talking about, and to leverage, right? Other than that, outside, yeah, every tool is actually getting better. Every tool that businesses use already is actually getting better.
Thank you so much, Selva. Before I let Jacob ask the question, since you were talking about the chatbot, I was wondering, so the help desk chatbot that you are currently working on the project to address the business queries for the Google Cloud teams. So are you using the Google AI services that are available, and how easier it is to develop a help desk chatbot using those services? Because something we haven't worked on, and
Yeah.
we are supposed to develop everything from scratch. But if you're going to use these services that are available, it's going to make the process much simpler. So this also might be helpful for Nanda, who just asked the question, that there is some AI services like that, which we can make use of and get something really quick that'll help us answer the customer queries, right? It'll expand the customer base for the local businesses. So just two words before I let Jacob ask the question.
Yeah, no, I'll answer that. So there is a tool called Vertex AI Agent Builder. Again, we are hearing about agents a lot. If you are in the market, right, everybody talks about agent, and it's ridiculously easy to build a chatbot like that using Vertex AI Agent Builder, a tool like Agent Builder. It probably takes half an hour to actually have an operational chatbot.
That's great. I would really love to hear about it. Probably I wouldn't have enough time to discuss about it right now, but I'll keep that for another time. I'll let Jacob go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. First off, wanted to thank you for coming by and talking to us. Second of all, it's related to the last question somewhat, but there seems to be two kind of competing forces, particularly in the generative AI space, of the classic generalist versus specialist conundrum. I get the sense that you're an optimist in the way that you've approached a lot of the questions, and I appreciate that. How do you expect the industry slash economy to approach that issue when it comes to generative AI? And how do you expect the value added to, say, a beginner becoming an advanced beginner versus an expert becoming a super expert, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I feel like I should relate two of your questions, and they are related questions, and they are related. I think as individuals, it it is making massive strides in improving the amount of knowledge that we possess and we will possess. It's almost, I don't know how many of you have used Gemini Live. It's a, and have you watched the movie Her? I feel like it's right here, right? It's basically a chatbot that's always on your phone. Put on your earphones, it's always there. It's like you have an assistant that just knows everything, and it's available right there. So yes, it is going to make us all look super intelligent. I'm not saying make us all into super intelligent, but make us all look super intelligent for sure. And maybe that's my optimistic scenario is that maybe that's it. That's what it is going to be. And it's going to make our lives just better. And so we can get to Mars faster, do something insane and not entirely take our jobs. And then what do we do? That's how I see the economy getting impacted. I know there are different theories about like how this could play out. Hard to predict again. But I think individually, all we can do is like soak in everything that's here and just make ourselves super intelligent. I don't know if I answered your question, Jacob, but yeah, it's a tough question though.
I was waiting for Jacob to say. Okay. But anyways, I saw Parth put his hand up before Cameron. So Parth, do you want to go ahead with your question and then I'll let Cameron ask the next question.
Yes, ma'am, surely. Thank you. Thank you for this
See you,
session.
Parth.
Nice to talk to you, ma'am. Okay. Selva, currently I'm doing my internship at car dealership. So can you please let me know how we can use this generative AI in this small scale business? We don't have enough data, but could you please elaborate what could be the scenarios, what could be the use case that we in that can use the generative AI? And secondly, like on your masters, can you please describe that you did some regression analysis on large data set to make business recommendation? Can you please also describe about that? That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first question, right? I would change the way you are approaching your problem with your car dealership, right? You don't want to pick the hammer and start nailing everything. Find out what you actually want to hang on the wall, right? And then you start or and then you pick an hammer and nail to hang it on the wall, right? So my suggestion would be try to find what is the business opportunity or what is the challenge, what is the problem statement, and then try to solve it through generative AI, right? That's how I think you should think about it. Having said that, having good amount of knowledge of what is possible through these tools, through what's available on the cloud, is a good place so that you can actually make the connections, you get new ideas and stuff like that, right? So practically, I would say don't look at Gen AI on how to solve, but look at what problems you have and try to solve. Now, in terms of tools, Vertex AI Agent Builder I would say is an absolutely first thing that you should look at if you're actually trying to use generative AI in any form or shape. And then look at all the APIs list, a Vertex AI platform API list. That's a good place to start. What is possible? What is available on the Google Cloud or something similar on any other platform, right? I think those are all good places. You can just use Gemini to learn about Google Cloud as well. So that's what I would suggest, right? And the second part of your question, which is what did I do in masters? So for my masters, for the capstone project, what I did was I did Twitter sentiment analysis, and then I did do regression analysis to predict the likelihood of like to categorize which airlines had on time takeoff and arrival, something to that effect. Yeah, that's the regression project I did during my master's. But my final capstone project was more around natural language processing.
Thank you so much for answering. I will work on Vertex AI Agent Builder, and I will also find the problem. Like I will look for the actual problem that we have, and I will try to find the solution. Thank you.
Sure. Good luck. Yeah. And remember that Google Cloud, if you create your account, you get $300, but make sure you watch that credit, right? So you can use the platform for like $300 credit and explore. And you also can use Vertex AI Studio. That's totally free for you to play around with prompts and get API links and stuff. So those two you should explore. As a student, like you're trying to learn, my suggestion would be to use those two options.
So first of
Thank you
all,
so
Selva,
much.
thanks for the analogy of hammer and nail. I really liked it. And the second part is I think I'll have to book you for another guest lecture on the Vertex AI solution so we can all learn from you. And over to Cameron.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Cameron.
Okay. First of all, yeah, thank you for your time. I'm sure it's very valuable. So I have two questions, but the second one branches off the first. So the first one, I just wanted you to take us through a regular or boring day for you. And in expansion of that, what is the average team size you work with and how they split up in their duties? So if there's one team for training or one team for just augmenting data or so on.
Yeah. Yeah. Great questions. My regular day. So also I have to start off saying that I'm not a typical engineer, right? I'm not an engineering manager, or for that matter, I'm not involved in developing a product, right? So my experience is going to be very different from probably whom you are, what an engineer's day would be. But I can tell you my day is pretty beaten by meetings, morning to evening, like back to back in a lot of customer meetings. My role is as a delivery executive is that influencing the customer when I say customer, enterprises that are using Google Cloud to get on Google Cloud platform, right? So there's a lot of influencing, and influencing takes a lot of time. Getting on calls and talking to people one-on-one, or having that influence in a large meeting setup and so on. So that's pretty much it. And I know there is a lot of return to office initiatives. Fortunately, at Google Cloud, in the line of work I am in, I don't have a return to office. It's because I mostly work with the customers, and my customers could be anywhere in the world. So for that reason, I don't have to go to the office, but I do go to the office like once in a while, at least for the free food and massage. But yeah, that's what it is. Like, it's really about struggling to find some time to actually get some work done is my typical day. In terms of team size, I'll say both things. The way in my line of work, we have a sales team, we have an account relationship team, and then we have my team and I have a team of 8 people who make sure the customer gets what they want on Google Cloud. So that's one setup. My success really relies in building good relationship with my customer and building good relationship with my sales team and with my account team. Now, in a typical engineering team, I actually don't know the size of the teams, but the standard industry best practice is that 8 to 10 people per manager. So that's how large the team sizes are. Like, if you are an engineering manager, you typically will have 8 to 10 people reporting to you. But yeah, I don't have much beyond that for an engineering team.
Thank you.
So we have another question in the chat box. It's from Deepthi. So she says, thank you for spending your time with us. And of course, we are all thankful that you accepted our invitation. So the question is, what advancements in AI do you believe will have the biggest impact on cloud computing over the next few years?
I'm sorry, could you please repeat that
Oh,
question?
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. The question is, what advancements in AI do you think will have large impact on cloud computing?
Got it.
Since you're in cloud, and what
Yeah,
advancements?
I think, the main thing is the demand. One of the best things about Google Cloud is the shared resources, right? Today, the biggest resource that most in demand resource is the compute, GPUs and TPUs. And I think the advancements of AI will continue to innovate and make better and better chips. And that is going to just make cloud computing much more efficient and take us all the way to quantum computing in near future. That's how I think is going to make the biggest impact on cloud computing will be the investment of AI on itself. That's what I think.
Nice. Thank you so much. I know we're running out of time. Thank you for mentioning. He's mentioning there's something called Langflow that he tried building chatbots. Okay, so you're aware. what I'm going to do is definitely book you for a guest lecture and help us out with chatbots. Anyways, so if there are any more questions, we will take it now. I know with just 1 more minute. Okay, so I have one question, and with that we will end. First of all, thank you so much, Selva. One question that I actually wanted to ask for the students is, I know you have done few certifications, like you mentioned. What certifications do you think will be helpful for our students in case they would like to get into the AI and ML field? And do you think certifications have a great impact in the job market, and having them on the resume, does it make a difference?
When I did masters in machine learning and analytics, what I found is that I think we are all like really good at developing tools, like programming and all that. Like I really understood the basics of the basic concepts. I was really strong coming out of it. But I think the gap I found is that how do I use the tools that are available, that the tools that the enterprises use, right? There is a big difference between me sitting in one room and just developing something for myself versus doing it for a company. And I think that requires using these platforms and like all these. It's a little bit boring compared to the other, but we need to do the boring stuff. So I think it helps to have that understanding of what's available in the market. And to that, mainly the certifications help, especially let's say professional machine learning engineer certification in Google Cloud. It will expose you to, it'll test you on the machine learning concepts, but at the same time, it'll expose you to all the tools that's there in the market, as an example. I do think it's valuable.
Thank you so much, Selva. On behalf of all my students and myself, thank you so much for accepting our invitation, and thank you so much for patiently answering all our questions. We had a lot of questions, and the session was super great. We learned a lot, and thank you for sharing your experience and all your insights with us. We would definitely have you back for another guest lecture. But again, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for having such a wonderful session with you. Thank you, students, for asking such great questions. Your questions were all great. Everything that I expected to ask, I had another list of questions. You almost covered the questions that I had in mind. Thank you so much for such great questions. Thank you so much, Selva, for your time.
Thank you.
We
Thank you
will-
all. Thanks for amazing questions. Just helped me. I'm going back with a lot of questions I need to think about too. So it's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. I'll see you all in the next session. And see you all tomorrow.